mentioning the chickens and stuff, and I was just thinking how my father showed me how you can hypnotize a chicken, and that kind of relates to the way that I see this, these so-called gods hypnotizing mankind. All you have to do to a chicken is take its head and fold it, put it under its wing, just bend its neck around and put the chicken's head under its wing and rub its back. And you'll see that the chicken just lies motionless when you set it down on the ground, totally motionless. It won't move at all. It'll stay in that position until you clap your hands or something. Something has to get the attention back, because the hypnosis, it's so simple. And I see that like the human beings practically have just been totally hypnotized by all this, these powers that be. And it's then this opportunity with real guidance to, whether you call them tap lines, to get them removed from a person, or hypnotic spells or whatever it's called, is such a gift, I guess, whenever it's point where a person is ready, which sounds like what the real guides have the knowledge of when a person is ready. They seem to be watching people and all these experiences that we go through in this psych realm stuff, which sounds like it's been for who knows, and timeline stuff, trillions of years or however long it's taken to come from an amoeba up through all the plants and the fish and the bugs and on, all these experiences, which isn't, I guess, too important in foreverness, but the opportunity to have a wonderful existence instead of an existence like here on Earth, where at any time they can just blow up everything or poison everything or cause all kinds of rough experiences for all the beings that are going through this process. Anyway, so let's see. Is there anything anybody would like to talk about?
We have a caller on from the East Coast, Mary Duffy. Did you want to share something, Mary?
Hi.
Hi, guys. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Oh, fine. You have something that you'd like to share with everybody?
Well, I'm Mary. I'm a new mom, sharing the new homeschool, which we have kids' books 1 through 6, and we have children's dream courses, which are more directed to the parents to help them become more aware so they can encourage their kids to stick with their real awareness and what it is that they're seeing. We're on Facebook, and under JJ's New Friends, you can find the Red Bazaar's Heart book and lots of information for the kids. You can read them these stories at night, and you can ask about their dreams and record them, and you can post them to YouTube, or you can contact myself or Sandy Staling to share those experiences, because what happens when you're listening to your children's experiences, you will also become more aware. And then I was listening to the show earlier, but some kind of connection issue was happening, and you said something about being chosen, and I just had a little something to say about that topic. I mean, everything is a choice and a decision, and everything that you have ever done has led up to the moment now of choices and decisions for you to share something that makes sense and is real for everyone. So it's not to me that anyone is chosen. It's something that you decide, and of course, if you decide that your goals are is to be with purity and real intent and sincerity and humility, eventually along the way and over the lifetimes of the choices and decisions you made, you would be heading in the right direction, which would lead you to something like the new presentation, so you can continue your journey into something that really makes sense so that you can free yourself from here. So, yeah, it's not, it's a decision more so than it is to be, like, chosen. I mean, that it makes me think of, like, Jesus and how everyone thinks he was, like, the chosen one, when really he was a student of life himself. And, he made his choices and his decisions along the way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking while you were mentioning the things you were mentioning, how fortunate we are with this homeschooling now beginning on Earth, and the gifts that Dwayne is bringing to mankind, because how it's been for what we see in our past, that we've come up through all these religions and things with these authoritarian, brutalitarian gods that whether they're from reptilian creation and convince mankind that they're the best, that most powerful there is, and all that stuff. This sounds like it's at the present all about our attitude and what we put our attention on in life. The masses, we see what the attention seems to be given to in the multitude on the earth, whether they think that money is what's so important, sex, all these games that they worship on earth and pay attention to, soccer, football, on and on. It's just like, I don't know whether it's called like hypnosis or what it is that the masses are paying attention to. It's not like, I don't know if the word's seeking, but they think that they've found what they think is important to themselves, until something happens to them to interfere with their lives. They have no incentive to change their ways. So maybe the reptilians are being beneficial for the souls on this planet by making it miserable at times, so that they have to pay more attention to what's all about life, when they realize that their body could be gone any second, or that they have to suffer this thing or that thing, that all these experiences on earth seems to have so many miserable things people go through, that it must be the time now, this short opportunity for mankind, those that are ready to have this big gift given, about if they're paying attention and testing and finding out for themselves about the new use sessions and the real guides, to be able to get into real universes where there is none of this misery and whatever it's called, experiences that why would a person want to go through any of that stuff if they could not have to in the real universes? So how would it be that Dwayne is going to present the new presentation, or with others involved, to these masses that don't seem to be ready yet to want to pay attention? And it's more like a rejection than an acceptance. It's like, don't bother me, I want to continue to suffer forever. So, anyway, it just seems like it is something to be very thankful for, the opportunity to possibly not have to come back and go through on and on miserable love lives that go to hell, or whatever you want to call all that experiences people go through that they think are so important. So that gets into this, what is most important stuff. Well, for the physical, we know that food, water, and air we have to have, or these physical bodies here on Earth don't last. And then there's the psychic bodies, unseen stuff, and to me that's all just getting to learn a little about these emotional bodies and these memory bodies and these mental bodies, and then there's unconscious bodies, etheric stuff. Anyway, I am thankful for this opportunity to even have any of this information being revealed in my life, and trying to find a way to earn my way into these real universes and out of these psych realms. Does anybody else have anything to mention while we're talking about everything? Like, what is the bigger picture here in life? Why we're on this earth?
Well, yeah, I wanted to mention that a lot of this is having the curiosity, or something that drives you, like, for adventure, because it's so easy to get pulled back into the comfort zone and safety zone, and what society has to offer, all the thrills and everything like that. So you really need to have a little bit of a sense of adventure for this. Maybe more than a little bit. You really have to, get out of the pack thinking, and take the risk to do something that you've never done before, or that's scary for you, or to really stretch yourself, you could say. And I wanted to share this with you, Tim, particularly because Tim and I were in Alaska. Was it last fall? I think.
Summer.
Or last summer. Last summer, yeah. And then a little bit into the fall, when it got cold, where Tim stayed, and I came back to California. He stayed a little bit longer until the weather came. But so I found this fellow, Andrew Skirka. He's a hiker adventurer, and I just want to share what he did. It's kind of an inspiration, because I'm a hiker too. I like to hike. I did the Pacific Crest Trail with my son in 2014. It was 2,650 miles, and going through the Sierras and the desert and the Cascades. This guy, he did. He did, I think, the PCT too, but he did the Alaska adventure. And Tim probably knows this even more than I do, because Tim knows Alaska, but these are some of the highlights. He hiked, over 4,700 miles. He started in, I think it was 2010 or 11. He started in mid-March. And he hit the Alaska range. He traversed that. That's 450 miles. He did the Brooks Range, which traverses 975 miles. Longest distance without encountering any human development, like villages, roads, or pipelines, 615 miles. From Dempster Highway, crosses the Richardson Mountains on the Yukon, Northwest Territories border all the way to the Dalton Highway. By the way, he started in 30 miles north of the Arctic, or I think it's Arctic, in Kotzebue. Longest pack raft, and he hiked, he used skis, he used pack rafting. So the longest pack rafting section was 420 miles from Teslin Crossing to the Teslin River to Dawson on the Yukon River. Average distance between resupply points for the final 2,100 miles from Fort McPherson to Kotzebue, where he started, 260 miles. So between resupply, he had to pack for 260 miles. So that's pretty gnarly stuff. And this is all in the snow and the weather, and in Alaska, very severe conditions. Even though he did it, during the warmer season, and sometime during the summer, he had, like he said, almost 20 hours of light. So there's a lot to deal with. Grizzlies attacked him a couple times. A lot of adventures. But see, he's out there. We're not advocating doing something like that particularly, but he's got the sort of the attitude, to stretch himself or to go beyond his limits, And again, we're not advocating anything severe or extreme, but it almost does takes a certain amount of risk to your personal self, because a lot of the previous fellas that have had this, and the women too, that have had this position like Dwayne has had, or has. He calls it the new wave. New wave is now. Used to be called the rod of power. Well, there's a lot of risk in that, because people don't want you here. The people in power don't want this going on. They don't want people waking up. Takes a courageous individual, creative individual, clever. But what you do have is, like, you have the backing of life and other real guides that have gone before. So it makes for a wonderful adventure for those who want to step out into the danger zone and do something that really, is, well, it's fulfilling. It makes sense. There really is nothing more. Like what, Tim, you talk about, this place pretty much sucks if you really look at it. You can have your thrills, and you can your relationships, and you have a good job and have money and whatever, go on vacations, but in the end, it's just, there's nothing there. At the end of the road, there's nothing there. So with this, there's always something new and wonderful with the is. We call it this reality called the all is. It's always something new, and for sure you'll never be bored. Or if you are, you can do something about it. Like I remember Paul talking about being on a boat once when I think he was in the Navy for a while, and he was awful bored because it got really monotonous being at sea, doing the same things over and over. But I'm sure he found ways, through his soul travel abilities, being able to get out of the body and move around other dimensions. Sure, he kept himself busy, but in the physical, he was very bored. And this place is, without the thrills, it can be boring and all that. So it's really behooves you to take a step into the unknown, and that's why we're here, to provide that opportunity for people to in a really realistic way, in a way that makes sense, to move out of their personal self and comfort zone into something that is real and has a real purpose. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Val. That was making me think about that adventurer that was hiking that far north country, and how his ability to survive. Of course, I don't know what he was thinking while he was doing all of his hiking and trying to set up his camps and things like that. I'm trying to imagine his real awareness. It seems like he had a desire to go explore out there in the unknown, and he was a real risk taker, because anything can happen out there all by yourself when there's no one else around, whether it's creatures or cracks in the earth that you fall in, or who knows what deal with. But and all the different things that he'd get to see that hardly anybody else would get to experience. It's quite an adventure in this physical for him, and not being so disturbed by all these effects that are happening to the majority of the people on Earth, having to do their boring schooling or jobs, or dealing with their health issues. And it sounds like he had to have pretty good health to be able to do what he did.
Yeah, he was primed. He went to Duke. He was primed to be a banking investor, and his family was traditional and all that. And then during one of the semesters, between semesters, he hiked the Appalachian Trail, and that's where it got his wanderlust became so that he actually made this. He can make a living out of taking people on tours and sponsoring equipment and things like that. I'll read his. You asked about his purpose, what his awareness was. Well, he says, my primary goal in attempting this is unabashedly personal. I want an exceptionally unique, rewarding, and challenging experience. I seem to thrive on doing the extraordinary. It makes me feel alive, like I'm capitalizing on the 70 or 80-year-old long opportunity I have. You know, how long he's going to live. I have to experience the world, because it's there, may be a long accepted explanation to such adventures, but I find I am more motivated by the personal growth and learning that takes place whenever I am pushed outside of my comfort zone, which this adventure will surely do. And so he likes the challenge, and you kind of have to have that mindset, because you can get pulled back so easily. We call them tap lines, but they're these basically attachments to the physical, or to relationships, or to something that you have a obsession about, whatever it could be, money, anything really, your dog, anything. But sort of these tap lines keep you and pull you back. So this fellow's attitude is kind of like, he really is willing, and part of it's willingness to go beyond your comfort zone and take the risk. In this case, this guy, he was. This is not like a Sunday hike here. This guy is like, he got attacked by grizzlies twice within 30 minutes. Two separate grizzly encounters, and then the weather, for sure, the water, the freezing cold and snow conditions, and the travel and snow and the slopes, these glaciers. You just one wrong step and you just fall into this crevice. The mile thing just goes down and down and down. You don't know where you're going to end up. So this attitude of willingness to let life show you more is really important. And this guy's a good example, I think, of that, where he may not have, he may be pulled back by his because it's not just about environment and nature. It's more than that. But he's got to, he's going outside the society's comfort zone for sure, and taking the risk in his own way.